you know, depending on what time of year it is for me, my daily responsibilities can change. During budget season, which is usually late January into maybe March or so. Lately it's been a lot later because we have a difficult time sometimes conferencing with the Senate and coming together on budget numbers. I'm daily working on building consensus within the Democratic caucus on certain issues that we're including in the budget. Say immigration reform. Do we want to include funding for increased border enforcement? Do we want to include funding for reducing backlogs and trying to get consensus among the different groups within just Democrats, never mind Republican staff, Republican members. So, you know, during budget season, I'm really focused on the budget, focused on getting our plan passed, focused on making sure we have the votes to actually pass a budget. And we usually only pass a budget by a party line vote. So if we lose a Democrat here or there, it could be really tough to pass a budget. I think we usually only pass it by 5 votes or so. During the rest of the year, I'm enforcing our budget. So when legislation tries to move through the House, CBO produces a cost estimate for if that piece of legislation increases direct spending. I work with committee staff to basically put out fires and try to get rid of any budget problems in their bill. If they have a pay-go violation, if their bill actually increases the deficit, what can we do to find an offset? Can we rewrite the legislation? Can we couple it with something else? Can we find ways to make their piece of legislation fit within our budget plan that we passed earlier in the year? So, you know, depending on the time of year, I'm probably doing different things and working with different groups. But at all times, I'm consulting CBO using their baseline, using their cost estimates, and trying to find ways to make our priorities fit within our stated plans and goals. So that's sort of a snapshot of what we do. Okay.
I'll take a second very quickly to introduce Rowan Francisco. She works with the Department of Homeland Security, also volunteers with AABPA, and we'll talk to you a little bit about the difference from working in an agency as opposed to on the congressional side.
Sorry, I was at 2nd and C Street, Northwest.
No.
North, South, Northwest. All right. So 20 bucks later, here I am. Sorry about that. Woo. Yes. I didn't know you were going to put me with, if this were sports, they would be like in the NHL, and I would be like in a high school like hockey team going, woo, what's this? It's a stick, it's a stick. You know, I wouldn't know what to do with it. But this is actually interesting to hear because when you think about a budget analyst, and I'm a budget analyst, when you think about a budget analyst, you're looking at a congressional justification, this one document, and you're looking as it moves through the process. So this is actually good that you got to hear their piece, and now you'll be able to hear my piece. My experience is at the program, agency, and departmental levels. I never had a chance to work in OMB, so so I can't really give you that aspect, but I can tell you what I did at the program, agency, and departmental level. When you're at the program, you really get in depth and you really focus on something. You really focus on a program. So for example, I had to work with researchers and I had to see how many grants we were going to review. I worked at the National Institutes of Health, and so I had to see how many grants are we going to review, and that's what I had to forecast and project. So that was what I did. So I was really focused. I was really down in the weeds. As you move more towards like the agency level, you start thinking, okay, NIH as a whole, you get about $30 billion. Which grants are you going to review? Are you going to focus on cancer? Are you going to focus on AIDS? Michael J. Fox goes to talk to Congress. You know, everything gets skewed. Now we're focusing on Parkinson's. So that's another thing we had to wrestle with. So when you say it's a political document, woo, totally believe you. And I lived through Katrina, so woo, that was wonderful. Still have the scars to prove it. So just to let you know, there's different ways to focus when you reside at different levels. Since they're kind of looking at the really macro view, when you talk about what I'm looking at, you're really going to be looking down to the point where you actually say, I need this doctor who's a GS-12 to review this grant on this disease, and this is how much money it's going to take. So you can get that specific. And then at the agency level, okay, I need this many doctors and this many institutes to review this particular disease. And at the departmental level, you can say, okay, the secretary's priority is on cancer. So now we're going to focus on all these grants related to this because this is a priority. So that's the way you can figure out the program.